welcome to the East Coast Red and Gold podcast. I'm Niners Jess, along with Ty Austin. Maddie B is inactive tonight, and your girl Bex will be joining us shortly. What's going on, Ty?
Not much. Happy to be here.
Yeah,
Second week back. It's good stuff.
good stuff. We're all refreshed and ready to roll.
Exactly.
It's Wednesday, January 15th. Welcome, everybody. Have quite a bit to talk about. The coach, Ty and I were just discussing the coaching.
Yeah.
Mentioned it's a little weird. Yeah, so for defensive coordinator, they interviewed Robert Saleh. Brandon Staley, Kyle said, as an in-house candidate has a shot. And Deshae Townsend. But other than that, that's it. I mean, we've heard special teams, Jet Motkins, Chris Banjo, Chris Tabor, and then Noah Pauley for OC. Obviously, the OC is going to be Clay Kubiak. They just have to go through the process. Ty, what do you think so far about what we've heard about the defensive coordinators?
Yeah, the usual suspects popped up. Some names we already know. No surprise there on who they picked. It's just unfortunately those guys have interests elsewhere. So we know Robert Saleh is candidate number one, right? He's numero uno. So we got to wait and see because he's already got interviews with the Jaguars and the Raiders to be a head coach. So it's like, all right. And now Jeff Ulbrich is getting interest as a head coach and a coordinator elsewhere. So it's like, okay, he's like candidate number two. So I like who they're choosing. I want to see some more guys come in and get an interview. They're out there, like guys like a Dennis Allen, who's a long-time just defensive coach. Defense is what he does. So like bring him in and pick his brain and see what he would plan to do with these players in this defense, right? You want to make sure you got all your ducks in a row. So I would like to see some more activity that way in that regard. But I like what they're doing, kicking the tires, doing their due diligence, and they got top candidates in mind. I just would like to see a little more activity as we're in this, wait and see period from these other guys.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder, that from what it looks like from an outsider, from, our viewpoint is that they are waiting for Robert Saleh. Just based on who they've interviewed, who they brought in, as opposed to DC, special teams, and OC. Robert Saleh interviewed for the Jaguars yesterday. He has the Raiders tomorrow, and then Jerry Jones announced that
I forgot about that. Yeah,
for an interview with the Cowgirls, and that's like the first interview that Jerry Jones set. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But there's you take the two guys, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn from the Lions. They're hot names.
Yep.
So they should get head coaching jobs this season for sure. And it kind of makes it seem, I know the Raiders kind of have their eye on somebody, the Jaguars, somebody interviewed there today. I forget who it was. And they seem to have their eye on them. So I'm thinking like, okay, like all the ducks seem to be lining up for Robert Saleh, to come back. I did hear through the grapevine, this is from a fan who heard from somebody close to Robert Saleh that he would be back and it would happen towards the end of the week. Now, I kind of take that with a grain of salt, but hey, you never know. We'll see what happens. It's very true. I know Maddie B is Team Lou Anarumo. And, I'd like to see that name pop up as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But Ty, I'm with you. Like Dennis Allen, Jeff Ulbrich, you know, let's do our due diligence on these guys.
Mm-hmm.
We are waiting for Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
To see what happens. But, what some people don't understand is that, in these interviews, it's not just interviewing a candidate to take over, the open spot that you have within the organization. It's to find out what other teams are doing, like Ty, you mentioned, like picking their brain, and just, getting ideas that way as well. What's up, Jason?
Hey, Jason. What up, Rob? Bebop.
So, special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Schneider was let loose. They brought in Jet Motkins from the Lions, Chris Banjo from the Broncos, and Chris Tabor from the Panthers, although he was not in the NFL last year. The year before, he was the interim head coach for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the special teams candidates?
Yeah. See, like what they're doing with special teams is kind of what I want to see on the defensive coordinator position. Like they're kicking the tires on a bunch of guys with long-term experience, right? Guys who've been doing this a while. They're a special teams coach. I know Chris Tabor was the interim head coach in 2023 for the Panthers, but he was their special teams coach before that and was like special teams all before that. All right. So it's in his DNA. So I like that they're like going with, guys with experience, but also have recent experience and success and are, trying to figure out who's the best guy. I still think there's a name or two they could bring in, but I like their process so far. Hey, Bex, how you doing?
Girl, Bex is in the house.
Running wild. Like today has not stopped. 5:30 to right now, it has been go. Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah. Hey.
All right. So we're talking about special teams, and I'll go back and I'll get your comments about the D coordinators. But right now, Ty was talking about the special teams candidates in Jet Motkins, Chris Banjo, and Chris Tabor. Go ahead, Ty.
No, I was done. I was, saying, I like the fact that they're bringing experienced guys, different guys, and, make sure you do your due diligence on them.
Right. So, Becca, with you, going back to the defensive coordinators, Robert Saleh, Brandon Staley as an in-house candidate, Deshae Townsend. Those are pretty much who we know had an interview. What do you think so far?
Well, I mean, I think our guy is going to be Saleh if he accepts. If he doesn't get one of the head coaching jobs, I just saw that he's now interviewing with Dallas, which I think is a token interview for Dallas because it seems like Deion Sanders is who they want there. But I think that's who we would go for, and I think Ulbrich would be second to that if once the Jets figure something out. If Saleh's not in play anymore, I think we look to Ulbrich there on the defensive coordinator side. But I think that's the two most likely for that role.
Yeah, Jeff Ulbrich interviewed for the Falcons DC job
I saw
today.
That too. Yeah.
The thing about Dallas is I don't think they should have gotten rid of Mike McCarthy.
Right.
I like good old Mike. He was good for us.
Yes.
So I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him.
Well, and you know what I also love is that they missed out on Bill Belichick, right? like Jerry Jones, really did himself no favors by playing it out like he did, because I think Belichick already said he would have been interested. So, sorry, Dallas.
And then there was speaking of Bill Belichick, then there was a report that he pretty much thought, I don't know how true this is, but he pretty much thought that, well, I'm not going to go back into the NFL because burned too many bridges while I was there. I saw that as well. So
interesting.
I don't know.
I saw some reports that said he would have very much been interested in a Dallas head coaching job had it been known to him before he took the UNC job. So, rumor mills and talking. Yeah.
No, you know what? I don't know how good of a fit that would be because you have Jerry Jones, you have Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? Like it
very
just
big personalities that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know another name besides Deion Sanders was Jason Witten.
Yeah,
and
I heard that too.
It was out there that Mike McCarthy didn't like the fact that Jerry Jones mentioned grooming Jason Witten, to eventually take over. So we'll see down in Dallas. Ty, what does Bridget say about Dallas?
They need a change. She was tired of him. She wanted to see him go. So, she's on that side of the fence.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Becca, what do you think about special teams?
Special teams? I think we talked to, I think Sorensen is probably our likely guy. I mean, we kept him on staff. We didn't fire him outright. I honestly think he's probably our guy. I don't know. I think Banjo or Modkins both would be okay, but I think there's a reason we kept him on the staff. We're going to give him something. And I think that's where he's going to end up going, is being the special team guy. They like him. They want to keep him around. What are you going to do with the guy if you're not going to give him a place, right, in the coaching tree? So I don't know. I would not be surprised to hear them say that Sorensen becomes that guy.
Also wasn't reported that he had an interview either.
Well, it wasn't, but they're keeping him in the background. And I think Jim Fossil might be in play too. Dallas is now they're offloading people. He could be a good option. Like his special teams were a top unit. Like they always I don't think they're as good as the Lions by any means, but they were decent. They were up there, pretty highly rated. So if Dallas is now, cleaning house, he also could show up here in the next day or two with an interview. And that
I'd like to see Bones Fossil.
Yeah. Bring in Bones. Exactly. Yeah. His contract was up. They didn't announce that they were renewing it or anything. No. So
now that McCarthy
why
is
not
out,
give him a call?
Means right. Like, the coaches are going to bring in their own people anyway, the head coach. So he could be on the street and a suddenly new, candidate option that we haven't talked about or heard about. So I will keep an eye on what happens this upcoming week. Now that McCarthy's out in Dallas, I think he could be somebody that we pull in and talk to, which probably doesn't do good things for Sorensen. I'm not sure where he ends up after that, but I really thought that that's probably what they were going to do with Sorensen is put him on special teams.
Well, they got to put him somewhere.
Yeah.
So we'll see where they put him. Greg Papa said on KMBR that as soon as he heard that Mike McCarthy was out, he texted Bones Fossil. And,
I didn't hear that.
Pretty much said like, hey, and Bones was like, hey, you know what? They call, I'll come. Yeah. So, we'll see what happens with that. Right. David McNiner says special teams needs more than just a coach. Players that take good angles and can tackle would be nice. Yeah, but they got to get the coach.
Coaching matters, right?
Coaching does matter.
I mean, we just talked about Jim Harbaugh going into the Chargers, pulling the same dudes he had with the Niners, and they're in the playoffs, and we're not. So coaching matters. There's definitely something to be said for that. 100%.
Well, Jim also walked into a nice situation once again, just
He
like he did
did.
with the Niners.
He knows how to pick
did.
them.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we're actually gonna get into the because I was gonna bring up like Justin Herbert and stuff like that, but we're gonna get into the quarterbacks because I think this kind of changes a lot with Brock Purdy now. As far as the OC, they called in Noah Pauley from Iowa State, but he was not there when Brock Purdy was there, so they don't overlap at all. Ty, what do you think? The OC?
I just think this is just adhering to the rules. It'll be Kubiak. And we know the OC is just a title anyway. Like Kyle's the offensive coordinator and play caller. This is just a title you give someone on staff. That's it. This is not
see them bringing him in for another offensive role.
Maybe. I don't know.
The Iowa State guy?
Yeah.
I mean, they could bring him in as a quarterback assistant or, some assistant coaching level to give him an entry level position. But I 100% agree, Ty. They're adhering to the rules. They have already said out loud that Clay Kubiak will be the offensive coordinator. He just hasn't had the title, but he's done the job last year and this year. And so, like, they said it out loud in the presser that John and Kyle had together. Words are out there, like they already named him. So they're just ticking boxes to fulfill obligations. And maybe they will offer him some other role and give him a path forward. But yeah, I mean, the OC's named. I would not expect it to be anyone other than Clay Kubiak. Like,
right.
Shocked on my face if it's someone else.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if it was somebody else. Yeah. David McNiner says, I thought the 49ers brass named Sorensen the boombox guy. No, the boombox guy is Robert Lloyd. Yeah. He's a good boombox guy.
Yeah.
All right. So did you guys watch any of the playoff games this past weekend?
Yep.
And the remaining quarterbacks, we have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. I think you got it.
So where do you put Brock Purdy in with all these quarterbacks that were in the playoffs? Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold.
I mean, to the Sam Darnold people who were like, do not keep Brock Purdy, give Sam Darnold the deal. I hope you saw what you got out of Sam Darnold. Like, he has limitations and he's not that guy. At least Brock Purdy could show up in playoff games with a limp arm and try and has gotten us places that, not all his fault, but also he's young, he's a rookie. I always say it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. I mean, what are you going to do here, right? Like, we know Brock Purdy is solid. He's a good quarterback. You're not going to go take him and give Sam Darnold a deal over Brock Purdy. You're just not. And if you think that's a good move, stop it. And, Jimmy Garoppolo is a backup quarterback in every place he's ever played. Like, what else do you want to know? Come on.
Yeah, the whole Sam Darnold thing, I mean, you had Baldy saying that he would flip them right now, and now he's retracting his statement.
Those. Yeah, eating those words.
We talked about that before we went on holiday break. Right. And we said it was a cockamamie idea then.
100%.
Right?
And now it's all just playing out right before your eyes.
I mean, Sam Darnold's performance these last 2 games have been awful. And I truly believe he's lost out on millions.
He has, because, like if he had performed even reasonably well and shown any kind of potential to like compete against the everyone's bringing pressure. He was under pressure all the time. And how many sacks did he take? 8, 9? I don't even know what the count was in that game, but it was
9, I believe.
Embarrassing. It was a lot. And like, come on, like you have to have some better field of vision and ability to see what's happening around you. And, at least Brock Purdy, like he's got quick twitch. He can move. He can get away. He's an escape artist. And we've seen that time and time again. We haven't had the most stellar O-line, and he's not getting sacked 9 times in a game on any day. And so I think that's something like a little tiny thing to look at, but well, yes, and it was embarrassing, and I feel bad for him because you want the best for the guy, right? Like you don't want to see him lose. We really wanted to see him win, but not everybody's going to succeed. And Sam Darnold looked like he was a deer in the headlights, and every time they brought pressure, you just knew he was going to fold like house of cards. It was sad to watch. But yeah, I mean, I think Brock Purdy does a better job at that. As a much younger guy in the league than Sam Darnold, who has all kinds of playing experience all over the league. So, you get what I guess, everybody's got their own strengths and weaknesses, and that's not one of his.
And look what, Brock Purdy's doing behind an offensive line that is
bubblegum and
average.
Right. Exactly.
Ty, what do you think?
I just think the comparisons are dumb. And now I'm like, looking back on the season, I'm like, wow, I'm kind of grateful that he didn't play against Green Bay when we played them. Right? Because then we would have to hear even more comparisons then. We saw what happened the next week when we played Buffalo, and people were losing their minds and comparing him to Josh Allen.
And like, in the snow all the conditions that weren't even
need to stop. Right. People need to stop comparing him to other quarterbacks. Like, it doesn't matter. He's his own person. He's his own quarterback. He doesn't do what they do. They don't do what he does. Right? It's totally different. So this extremist attitude that people take toward him is like kind of nuts. It's either he's very good or he's just very bad. And you got to pay him or you don't got to pay him. You got to move on. And people just need to accept him for who he is and what he can do and what he has done. And that's what he should be based on, not what other people are doing. Especially not now, because they're in the playoffs and he's not. So there's that reality.
But also, he's never been a guy that's tanking. He's never been like this quarterback who is like the lowest rated, like terrible in the bottom half of the quarterback discussion. He's always in the top half of quarterback discussions. Mm-hmm. So how can you, continue to just on Brock Purdy all the time? He's always performing at a high level, even on a bad day. And, I don't understand that whole narrative all the time with him.
Yeah.
Obviously this year was not a good year.
Right.
We all know that. The fan base is divided on why it wasn't a good year. But even when it's a good year, the fan base is still divided over something else.
Right.
Yeah. They're going to find something.
We'll find a reason.
But what I've come across, especially on Twitter or X, is whatever game is on, and when there's a good like quarterback play, I've seen, well, I wish we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I wish, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, why are we still complaining?
Right.
Well, I think we've gotten close a couple times. We've gotten to sniff the Lombardi a couple times, and we haven't gotten to like lick it, and bring it. I licked it, therefore it's mine. Like I'm bringing it home, right? Like we've been in those situations now a couple times, and people are just salty, and all the flavors out there, we're choosing salty. And instead of being grateful that we're always in it, we're always, our head coach has kept us in the playoffs, in contention. In Kyle Shanahan, we trust, right? Like this guy keeps us relevant every year. It doesn't matter what the turnover mill's been with our coaching staff. We've always been relevant. This year, we didn't make the playoffs. And yes, exactly. I licked it, therefore it's mine. Exactly, Jason. So,
welcome to the East Coast Red and Gold Show.
Just saying. I'm taking over for Matt tonight.
Yeah, for those of you just joining us, this is what's happening.
Yep. It's happening.
No. But yeah, I mean, I think people just are wanting another trophy after all these years. And we've gotten so close so many times that everybody just wants to tear everything down every time we don't win, instead of recognizing that we're staying at this level. And I said it before with people like Pittsburgh and Baltimore, they have never ever wavered on their coaching. Like they keep this guy around because they keep them relevant year over year over year. And look who's standing this year. Maybe they weren't there last year or the year before, but 3 years ago, 5 years ago, they're always in the playoffs. They're always relevant. And I think that's what we have with our management. And people need to really, really step back and go, okay, I'll take a shot. I get a shot every single time because we have these guys in the building, rather than, well, let's fire everyone and start building something new. No, that's what Dallas does. We don't want to be Dallas. We want to be relevant all the time. We want to stay there. And I don't understand that whole like attitude and mentality of, well, we didn't win, so the coach got to go, the quarterback's got to go, everybody's got out. You're all out. No, appreciate what you have, because it's pretty good to always be in the hunt.
David McNiner says, according to the Brock haters, we should trade him because he has a weak arm, small hands, even though they're the same size as Mahomes, and isn't a 6'4", 225-pound descendant of Bigfoot. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, sure. And Becca, like, to your point, like if we fire Kyle Shanahan, he would be picked up in like 30 seconds.
100%.
Yep. And then
it would be a battle and a fight. He would get more money than any coach in the league.
Yeah. And then and going forward, we would probably be like a hot mess.
Yeah.
And then people would be complaining like, oh, well, why did they get rid of him? Like, we should have never gotten rid of him.
They'd be cursing out Jed York. Yeah.
From 2017, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch inherited a terrible, terrible roster.
People forget that. Or they don't want to admit it.
And in 2 years' time, 2019, we were
on the way. Yes. And I will tell you, John Lynch is such a class act. When we had 2 wins and not a great team, that man walked around the Levi Stadium parking lot to tailgates and shaking hands with fans. He walked around to all the tailgates and came out and thanked fans for being there and sticking with the team and appreciating the faithful. Continue to stay faithful. And that's when that whole mantra and moniker was born. He's like, thank you guys for being faithful to the team and being here with 2 or whatever 3 wins we had that season. He walked around and shook hands in the parking lot. And that was to me, that was the total class act that he is. And I was like, this dude is here for the right reason. He wants to win. He wants to do the right thing. And he's a forever fan. I don't care where that man ever goes after our team, if he ever leaves our team, but just a total class act, 100%.
I mean, even when he went 47 red on number 59, I'm sure he was still classy doing it.
On the field,
probably not to him.
Sure.
Yeah, probably not
probably
to him.
Not to him directly,
Yeah.
But to everyone else, yeah.
The press conference afterwards, he was classy.
Right,
He's classy
exactly.
man, but I don't think so in that moment. Like, you are not living up to my expectations. Hit the road, Jack. Oh, and I'm gonna ruin you in the process. Yeah, as he should, because you've got people in the parking lot paying all this money, fans traveling to see the team, and you're gonna quit? Take a hike. Yeah, you don't deserve it.
That is just not the 49ers culture
at
all.
No, that's not his culture. Remember, he was a former player that was out there and just battled.
He was
every week, every play. That was him.
Yeah, he could have been a 49er.
Have somebody quit? Nah,
not on my watch.
In his soul, it was like no way.
Jerry Rice was probably waiting with brass knuckles, and Ronnie Lott. They're waiting to jack him up when they kick him out the back door, right? Like, get on the street, and here come the old guys, Dwight Hicks and the Hot Licks. They're all waiting. Yeah,
that would be something,
wouldn't that? That should have been the whole thing. Oh, we're kicking you out, boys. Be ready in the alley. Go get him.
All right, so Brock Purdy's contract.
Yeah.
What's he getting, Ty?
A whole lot of money.
But
no matter how you look at it, it's a whole lot of money.
Obviously,
whether he gets 45 million or 75 million, it's a whole lot of money.
That's true. But what does that mean for the San Francisco 49ers?
This is what it will mean for the San Francisco 49ers. Average annual salary means it's a facade. It means nothing. Brock Purdy will get a 10-year, $1 billion contract. So his average annual salary will be whatever that number is. I'm not good at math, but it'll be high, the biggest ever.
Yeah, I hate math.
Guess what? His cap number will be 10 million.
Something like that. Exactly.
Very affordable. We're probably like a 3-year out, an out after 3 years.
Yeah.
So it won't mean anything. Nothing. So he's going to get whatever he gets, but it'll be a team-friendly contract.
I think
I don't know why people are focused on this big number when no one ever gets that number.
Well, they always get it, but Parag will always come back and renegotiate. So that's the thing. Parag always has a way to get them their Excalibur, stratospheric contract.
Well,
he's going to see 45 to 55 numbers. It's going to be the 50-esque mil number, but it will have these caveats and renegotiation clauses like Parag always does. And, he's going to be able to come back and renegotiate in year 2 of the contract to lower the cap hit and do all the things that he does every year. He does it all the time. It's how we had the most cap money in the league going into the free agency and the draft. We have the most cap money. So that's what Parag does. He's a genius at getting the George Kittles and Christian McCaffreys after year 1 or 2, they get more guaranteed money, and then the cap hit drops off, and he just does his mathematical magic that he plays all the time. Brock's going to get a big contract. There's no doubt it's going to happen, but there are going to be all of these we're going to renegotiate in whatever blah 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 year. you'll get this much guaranteed, but then there'll be all these laced in and, bonuses that you have to earn. So the team hit is pretty friendly. That's how it works.
David say 5 years, 300 million total. Make it $450 million total.
Make it rain, baby. Make it rain.
Make it 500 million. Make it 600 million total. Don't matter. Don't matter.
Nope. It'll be really
the guaranteed number is the only one that really matters, because that's the only one that players care about. They want to know what they're getting guaranteed.
Yes, the
guaranteed number is the one that players only really care about.
Right.
How much am I really getting? I don't care about the fluff. That's for the fans and the writers. Hello, the fluff. How much am I really getting? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I know there's going to be, a number that comes out and people are going to flip out.
You're going to flip out.
I don't like math. I'm not good at math. But knowing that a number comes out and knowing what this organization does with those numbers and how good Parag is at what he does, I'm not worried about it. I think Brock deserves the money. Jason says it's going to be like Jimmy's contract. It's going to look really high at first, but in reality, it's not that bad. Team friendly, and next season will be like the 10th highest. Yeah, I'd agree with that. David said that's why he added the guaranteed money.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. People get stuck on that stupid average number and it means nothing. Nothing. No one ever gets that number.
Exactly.
No one ever gets that number. Dak Prescott's getting paid $60 million. Dallas paid him $38 million this year. Where's the other 22? It's fluff. It's imaginary. Stop focusing on it.
He didn't make all of these metrics to get his bonus money.
Just trying to tell you.
He's been hurt. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one player that comes to mind, George Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
What? I don't know why he's coming to mind.
I know, right?
He's probably on the side of her looking at her like,
yeah, he's over there like,
what about me?
You want to talk about me? Wait, what's my name coming up?
Yeah, I have him.
I told you he's right there on the side.
Yep.
Here.
When is it my turn?
Oh,
Here.
touching George,
Here.
touching George. Mindful minute. Gonna need a mindful minute.
He should. Well, this coming season is the last year of his contract.
Mm-hmm.
He is someone that needs to be extended.
Mm-hmm.
One, because it's George Kittle and
because he's your favorite, and
well, one, because he's my favorite player. Two, because he is the best tight end in the league. Yeah. Three, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Four, there's no one else behind him.
Right.
So that, I think that has to be a priority as well.
For all those reasons, and he's made it clear he wants to be a Niner for life, which I think bodes well for a team more friendly contract, on the Niners side. Like, they're going to take care of him, but I don't think he's going to look to better deal them unless it's, egregiously rude, like that they're so offensive in their offer that he would go anywhere else. Like, I think he has loved what he's gotten out of the Niners and the fans. And if he's got, another 4 years left to play, why would you not want to play your entire career out and maybe mentor someone else and help, find your replacement and make them a success? And I just see George Kittle doing that. Like, he's got that whole mentality. He's had, look what he's created with Tight End University. He's got a thing after playing already that he's built into something that has a lot of cachet and all the players are doing it, and he's got sponsors and all this crazy, crazy money pouring into Tight End University now that he's got a gig afterwards. He probably will do some WWE stuff and go into broadcasting. He's a personality. So George has a big, he already is looking forward to after football. But I think the 49ers would do themselves a favor and the fans a favor and everyone else. The entire team and collective will succeed if they extend him and let him just play out his career here.
Yeah, he did say, whatever the front office wants to do, he's all ears.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. Ty?
Yeah, he wants to be a Niner for life, and seeing this regime, the way John Lynch treats people, treats players, especially ones he likes, he's all about having them here for life.
Yeah.
Right? He's not
and
about...
And they drafted him too.
Exactly. Like, he drafted him. Like, he's not just going to let him walk out the door no matter what people say. And he's still playing, like you said, at a high level. He's the best in the game. So why wouldn't you extend him? So one, for the team standpoint, it makes sense. You don't let the best tight end in football just walk out the door.
Right.
Two, for financial reasons, it makes sense. You get to lower his cap number. You get to extend him out. It helps just with the team overall, right? You make it happen. For morale, everyone in the building will feel 1,000 times better knowing that George Kittle is there for the extended future.
He's beloved. Yeah.
So exactly. So you make it happen for all of those reasons. And 85 will be there. I think he's one of those guys you don't have to worry about, are we not going to be able to sign? Or no, he'll be there.
And his number might actually get retired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, think
he
about it.
Might be the one to retire that 85. Yeah.
Yeah. He might be the one to do it.
Yeah, probably. All right. Before we get to our next topic.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
He's one of those old guys that we got to get rid of, though.
He's on the wrong side of 30.
There you go. Those rosters old. They got to get some youth.
We're old.
Got to get some youth. George is old. That 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, that's old man work.
Maybe he can go into scouting tight ends and find us his next replacement. That's his new job with the Niners. Go scout the tight ends. You have Tight End University. Tell us who we should be drafting. There you go. That's his job. You got the inside intel. Tell us who's good out there and who we should be looking at.
Red Jet says Kittle is a Niner for life.
Yeah.
And then she says, hell, we're all on the wrong side of 30.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
I don't know. I feel like I'm on the right side of 30 because there is a wrong side of 30. But there's a good side of 30 too, where you're just like, no, I'm not doing that.
What's up, Callie? He says that it would help to get a legitimate tight end too to preserve George. Yeah.
Yeah. We keep trying, but
help to get a legitimate TE2 just to help the offense overall. Because we got 2 tight end set stuff in there that would be awesome to run, but we ain't got a decent number 2. So
we have yet to find that magical unicorn, right?
Exactly.
David McNiner says Kittle had his second best season.
Yeah.
Are you talking just statistics alone or overall play? Bring that caveat to the table, please. It's a differentiator if you're just looking at numbers.
I would agree with you, Ty, because I don't think he had his best season overall. Maybe statistically it was second best, but it was not George Kittle's better, one of his better seasons. I just feel like, he did his job, but it was not a George Kittle glowing season.
I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but George has been on a roll since year 2.
But George is always on a roll. I mean, there's
but hold on. He had a good season, and what has been our conversation this entire season? Why isn't he getting the ball more?
Involvement.
Think about how limited he's been used,
exactly.
and he still had this good season. So if you like expand it out and be like, man, what if he did get the extra opportunities?
I'm with you.
Could you imagine what he would have did?
George Kittle could have had, right?
Right, exactly.
Could have had.
Yeah.
The coulda, shoulda, wouldas there. Exactly.
No, but I'm saying just for the limited amount of times he was used,
second best.
Look how great it was.
Exactly. Yeah, because I was Utah. I was like, this was not. I felt like a great George Kittle season. And if that's his second best season, then that's a shame because he was woefully underutilized and could have been a whole lot better.
Limited targets, over 1,000 yards. All right, so some 2025 free agents. Mooney Ward, Dre Greenlaw, John Feliciano, who I think is retiring, but he hasn't really quite made that official. Joshua Dobbs, Kevin Givens, Brendan Allen, DFF, Isaac Yiadom, Aaron Banks, Kalia Davis, Chris Conley, Eric Sauber, Rock Ya-Sin, Ben Barch, Curtis Robinson, Jalen Moore, Huff, Elijah Mitchell, Jake Tonjes, and Jordan Mason.
So like basically everyone, but the starting lineup.
True, but there's a good amount of these guys that I would say keep, and then there's also I think more that I would say, all right, see ya.
Yeah.
Like who would you guys keep?
Gosh, I think that's a tough question to answer, depending on who becomes available from other teams too. Like you don't know unless you know like what the whole pool looks like. Do you keep Huff or let him walk? Like he's been a great contributor to the team, but if somebody else is now suddenly a free agent and we can pick up, do you let him go and pick somebody up? Like those kind of things are tough. I mean, the people like Rock Ya-Sin, he's probably going to go and be fine.
We signed him for a 1-year deal on purpose.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was my best fantasy name that wasn't in a
that was actually really good.
Right? Like, I mean, the only other names I've ever had in fantasy were an all-girls league where they were all dirty. So, like, that was my cleanest fantasy game I ever had. So, you know, those kind of guys, you're going to let them walk. They're here on a 1-year deal. They're here and gone. Feliciano, if he retires, well, you can't do anything about that. But those kind of people, you're going to look for replacements. I mean, there's some people that you're going to go, well, do we keep this guy or is there somebody else who's going to be kicked off another team that's walking and looking for something? Mooney Ward, I don't think is coming back. So we're definitely going to have to find something there.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back either.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as offensive line goes, I know Trent Williams is not retiring, so he'll be back. But we definitely have to.
We love that. Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. We definitely have to, look into a left tackle. They may bring back Jalen Moore because Jalen Moore has had the reps.
Yeah.
When Trent Williams was out this year. Aaron Banks, I don't see them bringing back.
Right. He's another one that's, I would say, maybe he's got a lot of playing experience. He knows the offense. Depends on what we find, where I feel like he might be on the cusp of keep or not keep. Yeah.
Jake Brendel still has a year left on his contract, but I would like to see them.
I see them looking for his replacement.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way. Yeah. You got to look to upgrade there.
Yeah. Dominic Pooney had an awesome rookie season.
Yeah. He's not going anywhere.
So look for him to, have an even better year too. Mm-hmm. And then Colton McKivitz.
Yep. He's there until they find a replacement.
I mean, I think everybody's had a better year than Jake Brendel, including Colton McKivitz. But we'll see there. Let's see. Cully says, I think Mason stays and Elijah is out.
Yeah.
The thing about Elijah Mitchell, though, Kyle Shanahan loves Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah. He does, but his availability is, and John Lynch is big on availability.
That's true. Very true.
So they're going to have that discussion. Those two guys, that's going to be one of their their head moments where it's like, all right,
yeah,
listen, I get you this guy, this guy,
again.
You know?
That it's very hard to move on from for Kyle. Kylie also says Banks is gone.
Yeah, people are predicting he's already going to get $8 to $10 million somewhere, and I don't think that's in our plans. I think you look to bring a guy like Ben Barch back.
Yeah.
Have him out there. Maybe he competes with, Spencer Burford for left guard, or you bring in another person who could play guard and have that competition. See how it goes, because both those guys filled in well when Banks went down. So it's like, all right, we got cheaper options here with the same level of play or better. Like let's go that route. So I can see that happening. And
yeah,
and we did get to see a lot of our deep bench play this year because of injuries. So I think the team's going to have a really good idea of who's on the practice squad and who's been called up and what we think we've got in terms of potential. So I think you're right. Like if we've got a cheaper option, they're going to let some of these guys walk just because we already trust the bench behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see them bring back the guys that they got off the street, Heck and Pleasance and Hennessy.
Oh yeah, I think they'll bring those guys back. Yeah. I think because they'll be able to sign them cheap, quick, and bring them back. Like, hey, we really want you here. Sign this.
Yeah, I thought they did pretty well. I mean, all things considered. Rob D says Brendel should have been replaced. See, the thing about the center position is that it's the brains of the offensive line. So you can't just be like, okay, this guy's terrible, we're going to replace him.
Right.
I mean, I think they threw Nick Zakel in there. But he wasn't in there very long, so it's going to have to be somebody that's really like in tune with everything as well as Brock.
Yeah. And I think they're probably looking for a guy who actually played center, is a center, not like a guard trying to convert to center or he split time. Like I remember years ago, Kyle saying like center is the key position to the line and to the offense beside, quarterback and running back. Center is that guy. So he needs a real good qualified center. And he kind of took a back seat to that these past 2 seasons. So I think he'll get back to getting a guy that's, just a real diehard center that can handle the responsibility.
And Rob D also says Kyle loves Brendel. Well, he's not going to say, "Oh my God, this guy's terrible."
Yeah.
Like
he's not that kind of coach,
right?
Like, what do you like any coach for that matter? Like, what do you expect them to say? Mm-hmm. Like, I think the most that some coaches say is like, they didn't play well.
He had a rough game. It wasn't his
rough game. Like
we trust him. He's our guy. Blah blah blah.
Like the most you ever hear Kyle say is like, "Oh, he missed some plays." That's it. Or he had a rough game. That's it.
Or I'm sure there's plays that he would love to have back.
Exactly. That's the most you're going to get from him. He never throws a guy under the bus. So
I think the harshest words I ever heard were the Campbell stuff. Like that. That's the most definitive negative words ever. We're like, that is not what we expect. We never want to see that again. Like, ooh, big words, right? But that was pretty team friendly.
That was definitely rough. David McNiner says Drew Dahlman, free agent center from the Falcons. I mean,
David's big on him.
Yeah. Callie says the center calls out the protection in our offense.
Yeah.
He's important. Let's see. David McNiner, when Forrester said Brendel was good, I was wondering if we were watching the same games.
And once again, your coaches aren't going to throw you under the bus because they need you. They need you until they find a replacement. Then they just replace you, but even then they don't really throw people under the bus. They'll be like, oh, we're just looking to make a change to provide a spark. They'll say something like that.
Yeah.
Because you might need that guy again. You just never know. Right. So that's what you do. But I'm sure when they look at tape and they see Jake Brendel turned around looking at Brock get hit, like, I got a front row seat.
Yeah.
They're all cringing, like, oh my fucking God.
Same thing with Colton McKivitz.
Right.
Or like how McGlinchey used to
you
do.
never want to root for somebody to like lose their job. You know what I mean?
No.
I mean, because these guys are actually like I've met Jake Brendel and Colton McKivitz, and they're actually really nice. They're super nice.
And Colton McKivitz went to WVU, so like I always cheer for my boys. I'm always like, "Come on, Cole, get it together, babe."
He's good. He just has trouble with speed rushers.
Yeah,
that's his one flaw
in a lot of situations, and
But, David McNiner says Brendel calls the protection. Pooney, you got both those guys.
you got all of it.
Yeah, I know. You got this right. Okay.
There were McGlinchey games this season.
I got the air. You got the rest of them, right?
Did you speaking of McGlinchey, did you guys see last weekend when somebody actually like showed on Twitter that like he was trying to get like extra reps, but he was practicing on air? And I just thought that was like the best thing.
I wish I would have seen that.
That's what he said for like so long when he was a Niner. That like
we saw that in game. We did practice. We saw it in game.
Before they got in the huddle, like it was like a TV timeout or whatever.
Yeah,
and he was just practicing like getting extra reps on air. I thought that was the funniest shit.
Oh my God,
that is funny. That's just Mike McGlinchey. Right? Ooh,
but yeah, just like you said, we don't root for anybody to lose their job unless they're absolute trash, right? Then you're like, okay, replace this guy.
Right.
But if we have an opportunity to upgrade and we know we can use that upgrade, then I'm like, get the upgrade. Like if we can upgrade at center and there's people out there we can bring them in. We can upgrade here, bring them in. Let's do it.
How important is this coordinators hire with defensive special teams? How important is the draft? How important is free agency this year for the 49ers and Kyle and John? Becca?
I think it's pretty important. I mean, we're trying to keep the band together with our these amazing players that we have. We've got talent. We've already, heard John and Kyle say they're keeping Debo around. So now you've got Debo, CMC, Kittle. You've got like all of these key offensive guys, and we're re-signing Brock. And I think it's really important and because, the window that we talk about with the Super Bowl window and the ability to win, I think they see the fact that we have a really highly talented caliber roster, and I think they're looking to try to capitalize, strike while the iron is hot, that sort of analogy. And you don't want to go back into rebuild mode. You don't want to have to go back to now you got to replace 32 players because all these guys retired. Trent Williams is going to retire soon. You still got that guy who's the best in the game. So you want to take advantage and, I think those guys also want the best people in the building to give them the opportunity to win a ring. So everyone's going to be motivated. So I think if you get Saleh back, I think that the entire defense is going to be jazzed up. Or you bring in, an Ulbrich, somebody like that. You get a special team guy from any of the guys they interviewed. Their top 2, 3, the special teamer people that they're interviewing. they're 100% better than anything we had. So you've got like this fresh air and this fresh breath of life back into the team that says, okay, we're committed to winning, and the players feel it. I think the coaching staff will feel it. And I think it's really important because I think we do have a roster that could take it back to the house. We were just there. And so, I don't think the window is closed. And I think it's important. I think it really, really would give a lot of, good life back to the team and the players, of positive energy to get back to playing. So, attitude matters, and some of that stuff is going to really elevate, all water lifts all boats, or whatever that thing is too, right?
Yeah.
Rising water lifts all boats. So
There you go.
Something like that.
The Super Bowl window is open as long as we have the core players and Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
I agree.
And,
for sure. I think that this year is important for this regime. If they hit on their draft picks and free agency like they did last year with the draft, I mean, they drafted, look at Malik Mustafa, Renardo Green, Isaac Guerrendo, Dominic Pooney, like all players. And I've said this time and time again, all players who had college experience.
A lot of experience.
Right. A lot of experience. So if they actually, go that route again, I don't have any doubt that they'll, crush this draft. And that's what we need.
Yeah.
The Rams have done it. I mean, the Rams look really good the other night. So I think it's super important this year. Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the coordinators are important because, each unit supports each other, and you got to have that support. And, just to see bad kick coverage, allow teams a short field, puts the defense, in a bad position. And it's like, thanks, but no thanks, right? They don't support each other. So you need that. You need that strong defense. I know the culture here has been, top 5 defense. We got to have a top 5 defense. Defense wins championships. John Lynch believes defense wins championships. Hello. He played on that Bucs team with one of the best defenses of all time. So you know where he's going with it. So they want to get someone in here that can freaking get this defense humming and running right. I know a lot of people just say, hey, the wide 9 is terrible. It doesn't work and all this stuff. But if you look at the Jets defense before they fired Saleh, that was a top 3 defense.
Yep.
Guess what he runs? The wide 9. And it's funny how people let's get rid of the wide 9, but let's bring in the guy who brought in the wide 9. Make it make sense, 49er fans. Get it together. Anyway, if you look at
Ulbrich also has it.
Yeah, Ulbrich runs it. Yeah. Hello. I don't see anyone ever complaining about DeMeco Ryans' defense. Guess what he runs?
He's running it too.
If we get someone in who can run, who knows what a wide 9 is and knows how to run it and put people in proper position, it's not a problem. So I think if they really want to stick to wide 9, I know Kyle loves it. Like if he wants to stick to it, he needs to bring in someone who knows how to run it. I think that's why Saleh and Ulbrich are the top 2 candidates in his list.
Right.
So
and
it's
they're
good
also
to get
people that can, concentrate on the defense. And
right.
Kyle doesn't
exactly.
have to
micromanage. He knows they know it. Like there's nothing I could tell them. They know it.
And they can so identify what we need to bring in the draft and free agency to plug in the holes.
Exactly. And that's something that Kyle said in the exit presser. He was like, he wants to talk to people to be like, hey, what are you going to do with this defense? What do we need? Right. Let's talk about it. And that's the kind of person he's looking for. So it's important. I think free agency isn't that important. I think they really learned this year. I'm hoping they learn this year that going out and getting good draft picks and using these, rookie and second year players that you've drafted already is valuable to the team more than bringing in an outside guy in, right? Unless he's a really good outside guy. Like David keeps telling me about this Dahlman dude from Atlanta who plays center. If he's really good like that, then hey, you bring him in because that's an integral cog to like the O-line. I'm cool with that. But everything else, you can probably draft that. And we don't really have a lot of holes. That's the key. So we can draft guys who we can bring up slowly. Just make sure they get some reps. And now they're here for the next 3 or 4 years. And we still have a solid roster.
Right.
So I think this stuff is important. They just need to go about it the right way. And I think based on what happened this year with free agents not really working out, but the youth really working out, and the kind of youth they brought in and playing these second year players, it's like, okay, I think we got the formula now. Let's run with this.
Well, and I think that we talked about it in past episodes too, that the changes that are going to happen in college, where these guys are going to stick around, and it's going to be okay for that. They're going to get a lot more playing experience. So when you start drafting, you're going to have players who are near NFL quality coming up in the draft. It may not be this year, a couple years down, but that's going to be a game changer in the way I think players get drafted. And I think you're going to see a drop off of veteran players who just kind of disappear from the league because they're going to make money in college, and then they're going to come in and hit these bigger contracts because they have this resume that they're going to bring with them that they don't have currently. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all changes. But I think the next year or two is going to be more of the same. But it's going to be like what we did. Players that have extended playing experience, who show up and can play football. And they already have a football acumen under their belt.
Right. Well, remember, we're still coming off the COVID years. A lot of these college guys. So they got 5 and 6 years of college playing experience under their belt. So that helps.
Yeah.
But with the addition of NIL, guys aren't ready to come out after 1 year.
Right.
Like, all right, I'm making some good money here. I'll stick around.
There was a meme I saw yesterday where they had I went to Florida State, transferred to this college, and they have 5 colleges. You know how they get on the TV and they're NYU. I went to, I played for Notre Dame, this college, and they're like, oh, this one transferred here, Florida. They got 4 colleges on their resume now. So I think that's going to be more of what we see coming out in the future. But for the now.
David McNiner says we need big fellas that can stop the run. Yeah, I think positions of emphasis this season are the trenches, and that's the O-line and the D-line for sure.
Yeah.
You just need that
Brandon
second
says,
linebacker. Hopefully Dre is back.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't think
Brandon says, welcome to the channel. I wonder if Kyle picked Salo's brain on Ulbrich during their interview. It's a possibility.
Possibility. I think he knows enough of them already. Kyle's been around. You gotta remember that. He knows these guys.
This is his first gig.
Yeah. So remember, Kyle wanted him last season. Season before last. So it's not like Ulbrich is new to him. Yeah. So he knows of him. So it's just like, hey man, come in, let's talk.
Right. All right. If you guys need custom gear, go over to faithfulgear209.com. Robert's really good at what he does, and it's made for the faithful by the faithful. If you haven't already done so, hit the like button, subscribe, and let's go to that 2-minute warning. Yeah, Becca.
Happy birthday, Debo. other than that, I don't think I know of anything else Niner related in those realms. But, we'll just enjoy the ride of watching the coaching carousel happen and the interviews and see where we land. And, go Niners. Like, let's get back in it.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. You guys are great. I think we know the end of this week, who it is. I think they want to get this rolling quickly because then, then the players start, whether it's free agency, draft, whatever. They got to get going. Keep it here every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's the four of us. Maddie B was inactive tonight, but hopefully he'll be back next week. And we're with you all off season. So whatever you guys want to talk about, come join us.
Be here.
Yes.
Yeah, Ty.
Yeah. Someone asked when we're going to do a call-in show, so I'm just put that in your ear, Jess, for sometime in the near future. People want to come on and talk with us. Isn't that something? Check that out. But I was going to say what you said. The teams are going to start wrapping up their coaching hires and decisions quickly here.
We just started.
Like I said, teams, they're not really a team, right?
Yeah.
Get rid of them. But
sorry, Bridget.
we know most of these teams wrap up their coaching, like this weekend and next weekend. So it's going to happen quick. So we should have answers real quick here. So that'll get the ball rolling, and then we can start looking at personnel and draft and all that good stuff. So just be a little bit more patient, faithful, wait for it. It'll happen, and trust the process. Like the shirt says.
Yes.
Trust that man. He got us this far. So trust it.
Yes, and as Rob D says, stay faithful, fam.
Stay faithful.
All
right, guys.
Stay faithful, everybody.
We're out. Stay faithful. In Shanahan, we trust. Be patient. As always, go Niners, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
And of course, for the upstart 49ers, they're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly.
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone.